I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land and the Wurrung and Burong peoples and all other indigenous cultures in which land we live, and I pay respect to their elders past and present. Preface. Hey guys, if you don't know me yet, my name is Luke Side, and in this video I'll be taking you through my portfolio. I enjoy architecture because it is a creative medium to explore my many interests in understanding people and using philosophy and science to enhance life. I have spent many late nights on creative projects as I really care about my visual communication to be enlightening and exciting. This is a narrative of the formation and categorization of my interests and how they have adapted to different contexts. I will be drawing from studio folios completed in the 3-year RMIT Bachelor of Design course, as well as hobbies and interests outside the course that have provided influence over my designs, such as sport, music, and photography. Chapter 1. Individual. I like to think of individuals like bubbles drifting through time and space. We casually run into each other, exchanging views and perspective. Hold on to your hats, because our bubbles are about to crash. Growing up in two very different areas, one being a rural indigenous community with a population less than 100 and an internet connection more than a 6-hour drive away, the other being the urban city of Melbourne, home to more than 5 million people. The extreme contrasts have developed the way I see societies and how their unique philosophy influences architecture. The recent books I've listened to have also helped me articulate these feelings and perspectives. Societies have a common pattern of interplay of political, cultural, and economic systems. Politics consisting of themes such as leadership, power, and organization. The cultural consisting of themes such as people, language, history, and teachings. The economic concerned with themes of value and rules for efficiency. It is these themes that work together asymmetrically to determine the architectural design. Chapter 2. Relevance. To fix a problem, you need relevant ideas. Architecture is much like a Trojan horse, embedding the values of a mini society characterized by a network of political, cultural, and economic systems, which have evolved in a given context. Our first semester of architecture threw us into the extremes of these philosophies. Cycle 1, Melbourne, the mostly political, defined by architectural activities aimed at increasing power within an organisation, in this case being the Victorian government, designing a new station complex. The process starts with tracing elements in the context and finding points of inspiration, then designing off the inspiration to enhance the status of the Victorian government. Cycle 2, Babylon, was mostly cultural, defined as arts and other manifestations of human intellectual achievement regarded collectively. The process of abstracting emotion from the self through art, film, and taste, and transforming it into architecture and narrative. Cycle 3, Nowhere, the economic, defined as the branch of knowledge concerned with the production, consumption, and transfer of wealth. In this case, the process being algorithms to optimize the amount of architectural value to be aesthetically pleasing. Chapter 3. Balance. Throughout the first semester, we were told to take note on what cycles we liked the most, so we could ballot for a similar studio the following semester. These studios are a bit more balanced of the political, cultural, and economic themes, working together, pushing and pulling in a yin-yang type philosophy. I completed the Hazy Territory studio in semester 2 of 2019, where our tutor Patrick Muscat pushed us to bring non-architectural programs into the architectural realm. This studio was very flexible with my internal interests and provided me with the opportunity to explore the chaos effect theory. It's very similar to the domino effect, where small effects can cause drastic outcomes in time. I was able to gather data from the chaos effect through weather forecasts. The longer the forecast, the greater the inaccuracies due to smaller, undetected variables affecting the outcome. After the experimental process, it was time to adapt the architecture to the political and cultural context of Footscray, as well as connection to peer projects to create a narrative of a collaborative journey. I really enjoyed using the video fly-throughs as a communication tool. I feel like it makes the architecture more realistic as it communicates the habitable 3D space. The political themes of giving back to the civic was something I found really important as a transitioning and empathetic design strategy. This is one of my favorite renders, showing the embodiment of the chaotic process to optimize the architecture aesthetic. The program was adapted for young children, with breakout play areas, as well as ramps and balustrades. The next studio, Framlingham, we were tasked with designing an Indigenous cultural centre in rural Victoria. Here, I had the opportunity to reconnect with country values, such as with the animals and natural landscape. Tracing significant cultural symbols in the area allowed us to grasp and justify the designs. The most obvious being the wing of Bunjil, the eagle, and the native banksia plant. I was most excited about using the sound waves of an eagle to drive the design of the theatre, the waves being able to create unique acoustics. This idea was derived from my hobby in piano playing, and in turn, my love of Queen. The reworking the library studio presented me with the opportunity to explore the theme of knowledge and education. I saw the existing library to be a conservative, logical, classical design, and decided to use the brain as an example in balancing the logic with some creative and progressive architecture in a yin-yang type philosophy. We can see from the floor plan on the left the rectilinear logical side and the organic creative curves on the right side, and the civic space acting like a threshold between the two extremes. This main facade was kept largely the same, maintaining the heritage and history it represents. This civic threshold area is the moment where logic and creative themes collide, symbolic of our everyday thoughts, being ordinary and crazy. To the more creative side of the building, dominated by organic form, mimicking the growth and neurons in the brain while maintaining a very open, progressive, collaborative program. The Mile Studio was very appealing to me at the start, where we would be designing concepts around the new Melbourne Airport Railway Link, a large-scale project affecting local and foreign travellers. The task was to design a gateway to the city of Melbourne. I initially thought about the theme of travel and how it was similar to the arteries and veins of the human body, but instead of transporting oxygen around the body, it would be transporting people around Melbourne. This idea was unfortunately scrapped, with our tutor wanting a more cultural-driven design relative to Melbourne rather than a scientific gesture. The challenge for me was to find a common aesthetic with my tutor, which proved difficult. Through the process of natural selection and survival of the fittest, in this context, the idea that survived formulated around strategically opening up views of the city and other Melbourne-esque architecture. This was done through the Moire effect, to open up views and build the anticipation of the traveller. Currently 2 weeks away from finishing my first master's studio, hereditary has been very relevant to my biological and physical interests, where we study these patterns to form the architecture of a gallery. These forms echo the natural environments from my previous country lifestyle. I find it quite nostalgic, and I'm privileged to be able to virtually recreate the architecture. The goal will be to try and integrate this form into the modern context. Conclusion. So from this reflection, my architectural thinking can be summarized into this formula. Politics plus culture plus economics equals a society which determines the architecture. The variables can be broken down into these questions of 1. What architectural elements do we give power to? The civic. 2. What architectural forms are relevant to the type of people? Animal inspired. And 3. What architectural processes do we use to optimize the amount of architectural value to be aesthetically pleasing? Is it algorithms? It is these themes that drive the design. If each variable is a direct reflection of the society it resides in, it will be successful. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching. View my Insta for more information. Cheers.